this video is about Making a Murderer, the Netflix show. Years ago I watched the first season, and to summarize the first season, it was a great documentary. It was very compelling, very interesting, and in the end I was in between. I saw that absolutely the police in Manitok faked evidence. But I was not sure that they actually killed Teresa Halbach and burnt the body, put the bones in the fire pit from Stephen Avery to get him into jail, because they owed him $35 million in punitive damages because they sent him for a rape he didn't did 12 years or 10 years, whatever, to jail before, and then he was released. And instead of paying him, they framed him to be a murderer, murdering her, Teresa Halbach herself, and then put him into jail with his stupid, half-retarded cousin, Brendan Dassey. So that was the thing. Or did they use the situation to make this case stronger against Avery in faking evidence, putting his blood in her car and stuff like this? Of course, the interrogation of Brendan Dassey should never be allowed. He was 16 at that time and kind of retarded, so he should be never allowed to do an interview alone with the police, and they act like they're his best friends, and if he just says it, he can go home. But of course, then he got also almost lifelong prison for it. So that is the thing, so that they played a dirty game, and the state attorney Kratz is like a piece of shit. That was all visible, and you felt it. And Avery had, basically I saw two good attorneys, and Brendan Dassey had not a good attorney who actually acted against his interest. So, but I was not really sure after this if they maybe killed her, to be honest, like, because there were also things in the documentary not mentioned when you read it up, whatever, where the question would be also, like, comes back to who else did it, right? So, I mean, she came to the Avery auto field, basically, and made some photos, and then shortly after she disappeared. So, and that is where then years and years later now, the second season of Making a Murderer comes along. And it didn't get so good reviews. A lot of people think it's boring. A lot of people think it's too stretched out, and it's redundant, showing a lot of things from the first case. But I completely disagree. I actually think that Making a Murderer Season 2 is basically better as the first one. Unthinkable without the first one. I think both are great, but I think the second is even a higher quality because it shows the justice system of the United States. It's rigged against the people that go to jail. And if you think about the US court system, prison system is completely corrupt, because you have a lot of private prisons, and they do a lot of lobbying to judges, and everywhere there are various cases out to put people a long time in jail, and a lot of people are in jail are actually black. And by the way, I read a statistic today, in the last few decades, the female incarcerated people in the US grew 800%. More women also in jail as ever before, and of course mostly migrants, blacks, whatever. They're getting wiped off the street, so they cannot vote anymore. Good for the Republicans. And they feed the prison system, where a lot of
After these messages, we'll be right back.
The #1 magician on the planet, Criss Angel, does it again as he presents his brand new live show, Criss Angel Mind Freak, at a brand new location, Planet Hollywood. Witness over 75 revolutionary illusions that will blow your mind in the theatrical experience of a lifetime. Chris Angel Mind Freak. Only at Planet Hollywood. Begins December 19, 2018. Get your tickets now. Are you ready?
So I got interrupted here from the mailman at Dogs Were Barking. So, but going back to Making a Murderer, I think that the second season with Kathleen Zellner, the new attorney from Stephen Avery. Well, I think she got paid by Netflix. I mean, they spent millions on the defense of Avery. Somebody has to pay that. She cannot do that pro bono. But it doesn't matter. It's good. I mean, Netflix spends 80 million on stupid movies. Why they shouldn't give 10 million to an attorney company to get the case going, to get the documentary going, and to get maybe justice served in the end. The second season, I think, shows with her forensic evidence and going really deeper into it. There are various other, like Brandon's brother, Brandon's stepfather, Teresa Halber's ex-boyfriend. They are all extremely should be on the suspect list in regards of who killed Halbach, because they had motive, sexual urge, whatever, right? So they had opportunity. They were around when Halbach were driving around in the streets. So there were all opportunities for them to kill her. Then she basically destroys all the state evidence because the blood in Halbach's from Avery, the blood they found in Halbach's car is basically planted. There were like DNA on the hood, what is planted. There were also a truck driver who saw Halbach's car away from Avery's property after standing there, and that was close to the stepfather's, from Brandon's stepfather's property, where also Bobby Dassey went to go hunting. And then he told that to the police, and the police completely didn't make a report about it. And the police basically towed that car onto Avery's property. And then they sent the ex-boyfriend from Avery to find that car on Avery's property, so they could get all the searches on the property, and then they planted all the evidence, including the bones from Halbach in the fire pit. Also forensically, it's proven that they couldn't burn Teresa Halbach's body in the fire pit. They couldn't burn them there. It doesn't create the heat you need to burn a body. So somebody put like burnt bones into the fire pit later. That is crystal clear. The other thing is the fact that the ex-boyfriend, when he found the car, he later had Halbach's calendar, and there were things written in the calendar like an hour before she disappeared or died. So it means like when he claimed he had the diary, basically the memo thing early, it's not true. So fact is, he was in the car taking something out of the car before the car was found by police. Means he was with her, or was her murderer, or he just stole it the moment he found the truck, but he didn't really found the truck, officially at least, before some other people from the search group found the truck. So there is so much evidence destroying the state case, like the case of the state, that it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And think about it. If you see this version, where in the documentary where Avery has a great defense team, what is with the hundreds of millions of people over the last 100 years going to prison and didn't have any defense team, and they got like, if the justice system works like this, they basically are totally corrupt, planting evidence pieces of shit justice system. And that is what I think shows that second season of Making a Murderer, how flawed that system is, right? And on the other level, it shows more, because it shows also that against Brandon Dassey, there is no evidence at all that he was involved in anything, and the state and the post-conviction lawyers, the law team pro bono for incarcerated Jews, basically to free them, they crystal clear deliver the argument that it's illegal what they did with Desi. The interrogation should never happen the way it happened, and they basically lure him into that admission that he was involved in rape and killing of Teresa Halbach, and putting it all in his mouth, right? You shot her in the head, who shot her in the head, who shot her in the head? Oh yeah, we shot her in the head. So, I mean, it's a completely farce, nothing else, and in an unbelievable injustice, corrupt way. And so that point of view should have consequences. Right, so I mean, it's just like unbelievable. So, and then the highest Seventh Circuit judges panel, whatever, in Chicago, in the end, says, yeah, it's not us to judge, whatever. And he, even if he wins and wins and wins, he never gets out of jail. And they basically drag it out year after year after year. I mean, he's over 10, 12, 13 years in jail. It's like just an unbelievable injustice what's happening there. And everybody who watched the video knows that it was involuntarily. It was like an absolutely corrupt way to maneuver a guy into a confession. So, and there was, as I said, there was no evidence about anything. There's no evidence that she was raped or shot in the head or whatsoever. They only found bones of her. It's a total made-up story. What the state created there to making a monster out of Stephen Avery and Brian Desi, and it's total unfair and not okay. So, but going further, what they have to prove if they go higher in courts, there will be like the original 12 jury member verdict will get not overturned or questioned. So you can get people only out of jail based on technicalities, and that is a total joke, because of course they lied they showed wrong, fake evidence to the jury. And that is the reason they convicted him. So of course you have to overturn the jury thing, because the vote of the jury, because it has nothing to do with the facts. The facts were completely different as what the state presented. They wanted to frame Avery, nothing else. So, and I think that is a very interesting thing to see in a documentary in like 10 hours, whatever, very, very like on detail, to really see how that system works or not works, right? And it's crystal clear, without spending a lot of money, you have no chance at all to fight that system, you know? And that is why I always like You Better Call Saul, because he's cheating the system for the greater good. Good.
Well, I tell you how much I miss your sweet kiss. Did I tell you I didn't cry? Well, I lied. La 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 la.